Hey, good morning, guys. What's going on? I'm giving you guys a chance to come into the conversation. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. I want to welcome you all to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And it is morning. We're getting our day started here on August 16th. And I want to say hello to the family and hello to the world, and really hello to my special guest, Miss Rebecca Samuels. Rebecca is the CEO and founder of Pythagoras LLC. She's also a CPA. CPA stands for Certified Public Accountant, which means that she knows her financial stuff. And so without further ado, before we jump into our topic, which is Mary J. Blige and taxes, I'd like to ask my friend Rebecca, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing extremely well, extremely well. But as we get started, I want to ask everybody, if you can, shout out your city that you're chiming in from. I always love to see what cities you're coming from. Also, feel free to shout out the name of your business. That's totally cool too. And don't forget, I'll be in Atlanta the weekend of August 23rd. So if you want to know more, go to drboyceatlanta.com. I'm doing an exclusive investment seminar that weekend. So it's not it's not free, but if you want to have your life changed, feel free to check that out. So drboyceatlanta.com. Okay, so I see Cincinnati so far. Philadelphia. Oh, Philadelphia. Now Philly. I don't know if you saw, Rebecca. We have yesterday we had two young brothers on that were 24-year-old twins, and I'd met one of these brothers on the street. And so one day I'm reading this article in BET. This is great. This to me is a testimony of just of the results that I'm seeing from students in the Black Business School. So I met this. So here's the actual sequence. I was reading an article in BET about two young brothers in Philly who had started this really super hot delivery service called Black and Mobile, and my friend was like, "Oh yeah, everybody wants to order from them. Everybody loves them. Everybody thinks they're great." And I was like, "Oh wow, this is really awesome." And then Michelle, my manager, she goes, "Well, one of those twins is a guy you met on the street, a year and a half ago." And I said, wait, that was the guy that was on the bike. He was delivering for somebody else. He wasn't even working. He didn't even have his own company yet. And he was all enthusiastic. He was all pumped up. He's like, "You're Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm in the Black Business School," And I just thought it was awesome to see him and his brother, David, and gosh, I gotta go look up the other brother's name, but him and the two twins that went out here and just built something great. So I thought that was really cool. So I thought I would share that.
Awesome. And they came from the Black Business School.
Yeah, and they came from our community. Like people don't
Wow.
understand. People don't understand how many brilliant entrepreneurs we have in our community who've been neutralized by white supremacy, meaning that they've been, neutralized by this idea that we're supposed to go work for other people. I'm sorry, but I am a believer in I'm not going to call it Black superiority or Black supremacy because that just sounds mean, but I'm a big believer in Black excellence. I'm a big believer that we have something special in our DNA and we ain't meant to be nobody's slave. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
If y'all agree, just type amen in the chat, because I'm gonna tell you that's what we're all about. We're all about Black excellence and belief in our people and belief in the greatness that we have. So anyway, let me get off of that soapbox and let's talk about this topic. So Rebecca, I was asking you the other day about this singer by the name of Mary J. Blige, who is respected, well known. She's won Grammy on top of Grammy. She's a great performer. And she's got a lot of years in front of her. She's not, she's 48, which 48 isn't 28, but 48 is not 88. But she seems to have run into some financial problems with the IRS. It looks like here, according to Complex and the Griot, that the IRS is going after her for owing exactly, to be precise, y'all, $1,198,161 in federal back taxes.
Wow.
Now, this is not to shame Mary J. Blige, because there's a lot of people out there that have tax issues. There's a lot of celebrities, especially in our community, that run into issues with the IRS. And so I wanted to ask you just a broad question to start. As a CPA, when you first saw the story, what went through your mind?
The same thing that always goes through my mind every time I hear of a story like this, like, how does this happen? And I guess the reason why I'm asking how is because you would think that if someone's very wealthy, they have an accountant, they have a CPA, they have an enrolled agent who's advising them of, hey, we're running into problems here. or we need to find a way to save you some money, or you would think that they would have a trusted advisor that would prevent the problem from getting this bad. And obviously, I don't know her situation. That tax debt could have been created in 1 year, could have been created over a period of years. But when we're talking about to the tunes of millions of dollars and you're a well-known celebrity, it's, again, how does this happen is the first thing that goes through my head.
So, I'll say this. I'll give you some more details and I'll kind of get more of your take. Now, I know that you're not Mary J. Blige's accountant, so there's only so much we can comment on. But I'm sure some things ring a bell for you and kind of strike a chord. And this is important for you guys to understand. You guys want to make money. You guys want to build wealth. You're going to have to deal with three things: the I, the R, and the S. And those are three things you don't mess with. And now I want to ask you this. Now, some people are mentioning her husband. Monique is saying, yeah, her husband was her manager. Her ex-husband did it. That's why her business, y'all business, a dirty account. Okay, I can't read all that, Monique. I'm not good at I'm not good at ebonics, girl. I love you, but I can't read the ebonics so well. I'm messing with you. But I think that what she's basically pointing to is something a lot of people point to. First thing they point to actually in the article in the Griot is Mary J. Blige's ex-husband, Kendu Isaacs, and how Kendu was her business manager, and basically Mary's described her business, Kendu as a con artist. Now, mind you, she was once in love with this con artist. She stood by this con artist for many years. She watched him. Right. So I think we got to be cautious when we're putting our problems on other people like that so quickly and averting our own responsibility. I think that's a little bit of an issue. But what do you think about that? I mean, when you hear that, that it was the manager, or it was the ex-husband, or it was the accountant that did it.
I mean, again, I always feel like if you have a business, you shouldn't just have one person that you're relying on for advice, right? If you are the creator of a business, you should have a team. Usually in a well-organized business, they call it your board of directors. And these people advise your business or advise you on specific areas about your business and how to make sure things are taken care of financially, legally, that sort of thing. So even if it was just the ex-manager, husband, whatever he was, where was the team? Again, we're talking about someone with major celebrity status, won awards, made tons of money. She's well known, right? I can't believe it's just one person that was involved. Now, if it is, then shame on Mary, right? I mean, you can't just entrust your whole entire financial well-being to one person who's your quote unquote manager, who may not have the experiences and everything else. But I find that really hard to believe. So my question is, where was everyone else? Who was doing your taxes this entire time? What types of advice they were giving you? If you were doing your taxes yourself, then, that could maybe explain some things, but.
Well, the IRS, I'm going to tell you, the IRS is like, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The IRS is a little bit like, financial blood pressure, where blood pressure, when you die from blood pressure, like you have a stroke or whatever from your blood pressure being too high, they call blood pressure the silent killer. Like, you have people, they think they're super healthy one day and the next day they're just dead, right? The next day that shit just creeps up on you. And I feel like the IRS, perhaps, I don't know, inadvertently or not, it seems like they lull people to sleep. Like they it seems to be, and this is my theory, that they give you the impression for years that everything's good, that they're not noticing that, $1 million a year you're making that you're not reporting, that they're not, that they're just not paying attention, that they ain't woke, about your financial situation. And then it's like, bam, like they come back and they're like, oh, we went back over your returns for the last 5 years, right? Now think about this, you're making $1 million a year, but 5 years you made $5 million. And if you've been reporting wrong all that time and they go back and reconcile that number, then it's like you're being body slammed and hit in the face with a massive debt. Like, I don't, student loans are bad, but I think IRS debt is even worse.
Oh, that's even worse. I would say it's even worse because they are relentless when it comes to going after their money. So let's talk about that, right? Statute of limitations. This is something I like to go over with people all the time, because especially me handling crypto clients, I have a lot of crypto clients, some who have tons of gains over the years and are now coming back to the fact that they have to pay taxes on cryptocurrency profits. People, like you said, people are lulled to sleep. Like, I submitted my tax return, it wasn't rejected, I haven't gotten any notices, and then all of a sudden, years later, a whole bunch of stuff comes up. So the statute of limitations with the IRS is, let's say you made a tiny mistake on your tax return, transposed a number, wasn't that big, it wasn't material. Well, the IRS has 3 years to come back and say, hey, you did something wrong here, and here's your tax bill. If they don't come up, 3 years, that's it. But if you understate your income by 25%, now depending on how much income we're talking about, that could be a lot, or it could be very little. But if you understate your income more than 25%, then they have 6 years to go after you. So that's 6 years after you submitted the tax returns. They can come back and say, hey, you owe us additional money, or they can come back and change things, or that sort of thing. Now, if you've committed fraud, well, now the statute of limitations is indefinite. And this is why, when we're talking about the whole Trump tax return things, that's why people keep pressing it, because if there was any fraud committed, technically the IRS could come back to something back in the 1980s and bring it up. So that's the 3 areas that you want to think about. And fourth point I want to make, you actually have to file your tax return in order for those statute of limitations to start. So if you were working in 2016 and you haven't filed your tax return in 2016, the statute of limitations haven't started. So the IRS could come back at any point and bring up those numbers in 2016. But once you file the return, the statute of limitations starts, and it falls into one of the buckets: 3 years, 6 years, or indefinite, depending on your circumstances.
Wow. Everybody, I'm talking to Rebecca Samuel CPA. She's the CEO and founder of Pythagoras LLC. Your website is pythagoras.com, Pythagus, right?
Yes.
Pythagus. Okay. Everybody type that in. Rebecca is really good at what she does. I respect her tremendously. And if I didn't, she wouldn't be here right now. She has a lot of really good insights on this kind of thing. Please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. And just to remind everybody, don't forget that September 27th, that weekend, is the All Black National Convention. So if you are a super Black person and you like being Black and you like being around Black people and you want to network and fellowship with other Black people who think the way you do, go to allblacknationalconvention.com. It's in Houston. Go and get your tickets in your hotel now before it fills up. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. So Rebecca, let me dig in and go a little deeper then. It's crazy because it just reminds you, like when Diddy used to say, more money, more problems.
And it's very true. It's so true.
Yeah. And my heart goes out, to Mary. I don't make any assumptions about what kind of person you were. I see people make, I saw somebody here say there was probably drugs or something like that. It could be. I mean, she had the drug issue, but you ain't got to be, you ain't got to have a drug problem to have tax problems, so I don't know. Maybe Mary had, maybe it has nothing to do with drugs. And I think Mary, it's interesting. I mean, I'm going to read some of the stuff here, and I like any thoughts that come to mind for you as an accountant. It says Blige, who's 48 years old, has been in battle with a number of money woes over the years. In 2013, it was reported that she owed $3.4 million in unpaid income taxes. She was also sued for defaulting on bank loans in late 2012 and early 2013, one for $2.2 million, the other for $500,000. After divorcing her former manager, Kendu Isaacs, divorce is a major wealth killer. In 2018, Apex Bank reportedly sued them both after they failed to make payments on a home. They were ultimately cleared in the foreclosure case, but property owner Golden Venus LLC won a $60,000 lawsuit against the former couple for breach of contract. $60,000 is not a big deal for a Mary J. Blige. I mean, she makes that. She probably makes more than that in one concert. But can you speak actually, Rebecca, to divorce and what divorce tends to do to people's finances. And I'll share a quick story on that to provide some context. I do know someone who ended up being sued for a credit card debt after their divorce. And what he said was that, me and my wife had the credit card in our names. And when we got a divorce, I said, well, I'm not going to pay it. And she said, well, I'm not going to pay it. So nobody paid it. How does divorce kind of make your finances messy?
Oh gosh, I hear it all the time that people cut their nose off to spite their face. And that's usually the saying when it comes to divorce, where that means, if the face is you'll cut your nose off, knowing that it's an essential function. You need it to smell, but you'll gladly rip it off, which would be like your spouse, just to spite it, just to spite the situation. And I see that happen a lot in divorce. Fortunately, I don't have any divorced couples right now. The clients that I have are getting married, which is awesome, because now they're seeing the tax benefits of being married, especially when your spouse doesn't make as much money as the top income earner. But that's another topic for another day. Yeah, in this situation, when we're talking about debt, especially IRS debt, once you're married, his problem becomes yours, your problem becomes his. Obviously, there are ways to keep things separated. But generally speaking, I've heard of men and women who have divorced from their spouse, and they were liable for that person's student loans because they co-signed for their spouse while they were married, right? School, quote unquote, is an investment. So they both paid for it together. And then unfortunately, the marriage didn't work. They divorced. And of course, the debtors are saying, hey, I don't care who pays me, someone needs to. And if both of the now ex-spouses are saying, well, I'm not paying that, then now it's hitting them both. It's hitting both their credit report. So you're absolutely right. Divorce is a killer of wealth. Getting married to someone, especially if they're bringing their own assets to the table, that's just building upon wealth for your future legacy and generations. But when you get divorced, you're potentially tearing that foundation down. So it's quite often sad, but tax debt, student loan debt, if both of your names are on it, guess what? They're both going to come after you.
Wow. Well, you know what? Yeah. In a way, I would compare it almost like to a financial version of an STD. It's just kind of like it's this thing that it's going to stay with you for life. When you're in love, it's kind of like being high on drugs. Like,
it is.
Like it's not even kind of like being high. It actually is like being high. Actually, the studies show that love affects the pleasure centers of your brain. Like cocaine does and things like that. So literally, you are literally high. And and when you're high, you don't always make the best of decisions, and so ultimately you see a lot of people walking around that are in recovery or that are damaged. You think about somebody who's used drugs, hard drugs for a long time. It starts to, you can see it on their face. They're kind of worn down, kind of torn apart. And I think there's like a financial analogy to that. Like, a lot of times, when you see people that have gone through a crazy marriage and crazy divorce, they're kind of, financially, their finances are just kind of crazy all over the place, really messed up. Like Mary, I don't know what year she divorced Ken Isaacs, but I think it was a while back.
Yeah, it was a while back. I want to say like early, like 2013-ish or something like that. Because I remember when he was going after her for spousal support.
Yeah, it wasn't like this happened like last week, and that's in fact, actually, that's another funny topic. But actually, before we do that, I want to show you something really funny. I literally found this picture on Google real quick, and I want you to look at this picture. Tell me if you can see it. This is a picture of 3 dogs. One is single. now,
gosh.
This is more so, made for the men, but I think that there's an analogy for the women as well, in the sense that, like you're single, you're in the prime of your life, physically and financially and otherwise and mentally. and you're looking for a mate. So you're ready. You're just, peaked out and you're young and you have your future in front of you. And then you get married and you get comfortable. People maybe they really do put on weight after they get married. Like, I don't have to go to the club anymore, so I can just eat donuts every day. Who cares about doing my hair? Who cares about, me putting on getting a beer belly or whatever? But then, but it's good. It's the good life, right? You're comfortable, you're happy, everything's great. Love is a wonderful thing. But then the divorce happens, right? And this is why I say, I don't tell people whether they should get married or not. What I tell them is make sure you think it through and make sure you're careful. Because there are studies that show that divorce will destroy you financially. Mary, especially people like Mary, have to really be careful because she's high profile. She's got had all this wealth, and you don't know why somebody's trying to come into your life.
Don't know why. Yes.
Right. And so you get the divorce and you see people that are financially blown away. I met a guy, and not just financially, but this isn't just financial. This is psychological, emotional, and physical, and all just like I'm not what I used to be because I literally am a person who is a survivor of trauma. In many cases, people that go through divorce is traumatic. It's the death of all your hopes and dreams and everything that you thought was going to happen. And you're angry. And most people, tell me yes or no if you guys can relate to this. Like you think about, the person that you love so much. I mean, this is the person you were willing to die for, ride or die with that person. And then you think about some of the worst things that ever happened to you. It twists your stomach. Like it's almost like I really believe some people get PTSD from their relationships. I really believe that. And it affects everything else. And so I'd almost say that marriage, especially for somebody like Mary J. Blige, where there's so much money involved, marriage really we have to start looking at marriage as what it is, which is a business contract, as much as it is an emotional agreement or a love-based agreement. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I'm divorced, and unfortunately, my marriage ended due to infidelity. But what I noticed, I guess psychology wise, is I started losing weight. I was so depressed. So that meme that you just showed resonated with me, right? Because I lost a lot of weight. I was down to 120. And if you see me and you see me in person, you see who I am, and you're like, wow, you got really skinny. Yeah, I got really skinny going through the depression of being divorced and the broken dreams gone and everything else like that. But I will say that it was probably better for me to have gone through that because financially I was rebounding. Unfortunately, I was married to someone that didn't contribute to the assets to the pool. Oh, sorry. So, when you're the person that's constantly giving and not receiving as much as you're giving, that also wears on you after time. So that's something that you want to think about. And I truly believe you. If I am fortunate to get married again, not only will that person be my best friend, that person also will have to have business acumen. He has to be building something. He has to come to the table with something because I want to make more for us versus just me being the only person that's contributing to something and the other person eating off the plate. But yeah, that's my take on it, having gone through that myself.
Well, everybody, I'm speaking with Rebecca Samuels, CPA. She is the CEO and founder of Pythagoras LLC. That's Pythagoras LLC. I hope you guys will go take a look up her accounting firm. We're talking about Mary J. Blige and the recent reports that she's about $1 million in tax debt, which I think she's going to overcome. I think Mary J. Blige is a survivor. I think that she's super talented. I think she's going to be in great shape. And so I don't bring up her story to say, to wag my finger. It's really to warn, all of us, about, how these things sort of work. So you're not surprised. And just so, by the way, everybody, if you could hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up, share, and subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, if you could share this to your page, that really helps us because it helps us fight the deboosting algorithm where they unboost posts. Like, I have over 250,000 people on my Facebook page, and they'll alert maybe 500 people when I go live. I wish it was more. It is what it is. I will just say this. While you were talking, the reason you heard the background noise is because I hate how all the websites start playing video without. Oh. Yeah. So the video started playing, but I was researching Mary J. Blige's divorce from Kendu Isaacs. And just, in terms of speaking about the complex dynamics that occur when you are a person who's doing well and you marry a person who's not doing as well as you, you might as well have had another baby because you kind of got another dependent.
Yeah.
You can, we call it what we want. People make all the promises in the world, like, oh yeah, I don't want your money, I love you for you, and they probably do love you for you. But if they're divorcing you, they don't love you for you no more. They sometimes that the agenda may change, once when their feelings for you have changed. They might say, well, I loved you for you and I didn't want your money before, but now that you've done this to me, oh, I want to take all of your shit, right? You've seen that. You've seen people go from, very close, I love you, mwah, 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 to I can't stand that blankety blank. You know what I mean? Like this person, they're terrible, and I'm normally I'm a loyal person, but with this person, I'm not loyal because if you wanted my loyalty, you shouldn't have done this, this, and this. I don't agree with any of that. Like I can just say that point. I thought about that a lot, and I remember thinking, if I already know who I'm going to marry, by the way. So y'all ladies, I'm not available. I'm not on the market. And I thought about it. I said, what does it really mean to be loyal to a person? What does loyalty really mean? And to me, loyalty is a concept where my loyalty to you should not be contingent upon what you do to me. It's not. I had to grow into this, right? Because when I think about the most loyal people I've ever known, the people that I just will go to the ends of the earth for, they were loyal to me even when I fucked up. They were loyal to me even when I wasn't so nice to them or I let them down. It wasn't like, oh, well, I was loyal until you did this, right? I think loyalty is something that you come to on your own. So I decided, I said, when I marry this woman, I'm going to be loyal to her, right? Loyalty means you'll never, ever, I don't care what happens when we get married. I'm realistic enough to know that divorce happens. And you can say all day like, oh, it won't happen to us. Yeah. You and 50 million other people have said this, right? But you'll never ever have a time where I'll be out publicly saying, yeah, I loved her, but let me tell you what a terrible person she is. Let me tell you what about, because when I start saying all that, I'm really actually telling on myself. I'm really leading you to question my judgment, I think. I can say things didn't work out. I was surprised by XYZ. I was disappointed that this happened. But I think that if little things like if I say, look, I'm with you because I love you and I don't want your money, then I think it is a test to say, is that still your agenda? Because I'm telling you, it looked like Kendu was really trying to, really go after Mary's money pretty bad. I think that she was paying him $30,000 a month in spousal support. She claimed that he spent $420,000 during their marriage on travel charges that involved a woman he was having an affair with. And y'all got to watch out. I mean, just that stuff, that infidelity thing is like a common theme in a lot of marriages. And so I think at some point, somebody's going to get brave enough to have more honest conversations about this, about why it happens over and over and over again. But I'm not going to have that conversation because I don't want to deal with all that. But let's see. It says also that she's long been the only breadwinner in the family, and she's burdened with all the debts, which she claims are about $10 million. And that none of this surprises me, because, just from the dynamics from which they met each other. I think they met 12 years before 2000. So they met about 2006. Mary J. Blige had been famous for a long time in 2006. So, you're getting together, and it sometimes roles are established, just almost subconsciously in a relationship. Like, okay, you're the famous one. You're the one making all the money. My job
so you pay for everything.
Right. That's what happens. I mean, and the things typically, the reason that this was interesting is because it's the gender roles were reversed. Like with Jill Scott, Sherry Shepherd, the gender roles were reversed. So people are appalled, people are surprised, people are shocked. But men can confirm this. But with men, we're used to that. Like I'm used to this idea that, like even when I was dating, I did not meet that many women who made more money than me. And so and also because I have my perceptions of masculinity, like I'm a man, I'm going to pay for everything, right? You just kind of know that's your job, and I think that when you go into a relationship, you establish that dynamic, and it's almost like you have to maintain that, even in divorce. Do you have any thoughts on that? I know I just said a lot. I'm not going to ask you.
No, you said a lot. Actually, I just say I have to agree with you. I do see that. But let's talk about this for a minute. I'm not trying to really go too far away from this subject, but a lot of Black women are making a lot more money than Black male counterparts. And we've talked about this in a prior video before. So now we're getting into this weird dynamic because what I see online, being in the singles groups and everything else like that, you may see me commenting every now and then. I'm a firm believer in femininity, but it's like when a woman is doing more, especially if she's in a relationship with a man, that masculinity button tends to get turned on because she's being depended on to provide for everything and such as like that. So I think there's a tide shifting. And whereas men before never wanted to get married because they're afraid to get taken in marriage and all this other stuff, I find it to be silly excuses, by the way, but that's just my own opinion. No, because, and I'm gonna throw this in there. The reason why I find it to be silly is because men will still have sex and risk child support, but they won't get married because of alimony. That don't make no sense. That makes no sense.
Ooh, I already see I'm gonna have to invite you back because we're gonna have to.
We can talk about that another day, but seriously. But when you have Black women that are doing better and contributing more and paying for things, when these situation ends up coming about, you'll see that, like you said, it's like the roles switch between men and women, and men are getting treated like women and vice versa compared to what we're used to. So now when we're seeing it from this side, it's like, how could she got with a low life? How could he do that? He's not no type of man. And it's interesting. It's just interesting to see how things have now evolved from way I grew up, you know, and I'm sure you could attest to it yourself. I mean, you're a little bit older than me, but you probably just seen like pure chivalry back in the days, whereas now.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't claim to be liberal or conservative, Democrat or Republican, because I think some conservative values are good. I think that for us to really find ourselves as African Americans, especially, we got to go back before integration and figure out who the heck we really were. And I think back then you really did have, scenarios where a man kind of knew what a man was supposed to do, and a woman knew what she was supposed to do, and it was just kind of an agreement understood. And I think now it's just gotten so confused, and you're getting men, I mean, sure, absolutely. It's wonderful that women are doing great things. And I mean, who wouldn't want that? At least I don't see why you wouldn't want that. But I think that when you get to the point where you start thinking that men and women are the same, that's when you start looking crazy, and you have these unnatural situations, and the biologists will all tell you little things like this, like, biologists will tell you that a woman is less sexually attracted to a man who's sitting at home while she's at work every day. When she's out at work, she's taking on the hunter role, and you've taken on, I guess, the gatherer role, where you're the one who's like getting the kitchen ready and taking care of the kids.
But that's the thing about it. Some men don't even go that far. And again, I'm not trying to turn this into a sexist debate. I just, speaking from experience, I've experienced a man sitting at home doing nothing, and I've paid all the bills. And so not only am I going to work to pay the bills, I'm now having to come home and do the housework. And it's like, I think for a lot of women, regardless of color, this is one of our gripes. If we're required to go out and work, I shouldn't have to be coming home to another job. There should be equal division, I guess you want to say. And that hasn't happened, because what I've experienced is a lot of guys want the traditional wife who takes care of the family and cooks and cleans and everything else, but she also needs to go out there and make half the rent and half the lights and half the everything else. And it's a lot of work on women. That's why you hear women nagging all the time. She's asking for help. And I've had a guy tell me before, well, women need to open their mouths and ask for it. If a woman is doing all of this and all of this, I would hope you as her partner would want to step in and say, you know what, baby, I got it. Let me cook this food. I got it. I'm gonna mop this floor. I got it. Let me clean this toilet. I got it. Again, partnerships, being in a relationship, being an equal partner with each person contributing. Okay, I'm sorry. We went off on another. We have to talk about that on another video.
I think those are important things. But I mean, to that point, we were digging into earlier. There is, though, also science that says that a man who works is a more attractive man. When the woman's going out and doing all the work and he's staying at home, literally, they said it elevates her testosterone and reduces his, because he needs to be the nurturer, right? You know, because he's the homemaker now. You're the hunter, you know, so you're going out and you're forming connections and relationships with men at work. You're out fighting for the family to bring money home. So it changes the dynamic, and there will be women that will say things like, you know, my husband's at home every day. I'm just not attracted to him, but I'm attracted to my coworker. Or a man, or even a man who can't provide financially. There are women that literally would just stop being attracted to him, you know. And so I think that, you know, we have to sort of, you know, balance those realities with a shift in society, and kind of figure out within each relationship what the rules are going to be, so that we can, you know, stay in our natural element, whatever we decide that is, while at the same time, as you mentioned, you know, have everybody happy and satisfied. And I agree with you. I think the biggest way to run into a conflict in any agreement, any negotiation, any business deal, which is what marriage is it's a business contract. I think one of the biggest keys to disagreement is when you have differing expectations. You know, like I apply for a job, you're expecting to pay me 50,000, I'm expecting 350,000. We ain't gonna be able to make a deal. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So anyway, I'm gonna let you go, Rebecca. You have been awesome, and I've learned a lot from talking to you, as always. I hope you guys will take a second and give Rebecca a digital round of applause for taking her time and bringing her expertise to the community. Please just tap in, thank you, give her some thumbs up and some hearts or something like that in the chat. Also, don't forget, if you're on Facebook, please share this video. If you're on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. Last but not least, her company is Pythagus LLC. The website is pythagus.com, Pythagus, Pythagus.com. Somebody please type that in the chat. And she's great. She's a really good accountant that can really help you, whether it's personal, business, a lot of things. She's very good at what she does. And you do free consultations, right? Or do you talk to people?
I do free consultations. Just go to the bottom of the first page. There'll be like a conference scheduler. It gives you access to my calendar. Free consultations for 15 minutes, has to be booked in advance. I do same-day consultations, but there is a fee with that. But if you become a client, your fee is now applied to your bill. So it's a free consultation either way.
Yeah, and I think those fees are worth it, because the fee you don't want is the fee from the IRS. Their fees tend to be up here. So,
penalties, interest, all of that.
Yeah. So make sure you pay the doctor, so you don't have to pay the surgeon. The other thing too, a reminder to everybody, the weekend of August 23rd, I'm going to be in Atlanta. I'm going to do a book signing meet and greet on the 23rd, speak at the We Buy Black convention on the 24th, and also do a day-long 8-hour investment seminar on the 25th. If you'd like to learn more, go to drboyceatlanta.com. That's drboyceatlanta.com. So if you want to network with other wealth builders and smart Black people like yourselves, this is a great place to be. Also, don't forget, All Black National Convention happens the weekend of September 27th. You can learn more at allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. So thank you very much, Rebecca. It was wonderful, as always.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Talk to you soon.
You guys have a great day. See you soon. Bye, Rebecca.